Welcome to the Rat Race to 5 podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place. Here to challenge you to think out of the box, your hosts, Felipe Mejia and Diego Corzo.
Jovan, Belen, seriously, thank you so much for your time. I know that both of you guys are super busy, but thank you for coming on the Rat Race to 5 podcast. We're super excited to have you. As everyone knows in this podcast, I'm more interested in who the investor is, not just the investing. So let's talk about the investing a little bit, and then we'll get that out of the way. But first and foremost, Jovan, Belen, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you, Felipe, for having us.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. You guys have been in my mastermind in the latest class, so I'm super excited to kind of dig into you guys' story because I think you guys are great, amazing couple. You guys are hustlers. You guys are grinders. Your content on social media has been so undervalued. I push Belen's all the time because I see so much, but I'm going to start pushing Jovan's because of his Bus It challenge. I think that should go viral. I'm just saying. Belen, would you give us a 30,000 foot view of where your real estate investing journey has taken you up until now? And then we'll kind of backtrack from there.
Yeah, sure. So I'm currently a full-time real estate investor as well as full-time rehabbing. Right now we're doing one rental that we're rehabbing with my dad. So he actually became one of our partners. And then we're waiting to close on another one that's going to be our first flip. And my dad and I will be rehabbing that one as well. So we're tackling 2 at a time, but I'm excited. And also currently in Oklahoma. So this is where we invest out of state. I am originally from California, but right now in Oklahoma, trying to do some of that rehab work ourselves.
So how many doors do you guys have now, Jovan? What's the number of portfolio, and then where's it going to be in the next 6 months?
We have 8 doors right now, 6 properties. The next 6 months, we had already told ourselves like this year we want to do 3 flips, and on the way pick up a couple rentals depending. So I'm hoping we can get to at least 10 properties, which I'm sure is super doable the way we're going right now.
Nice. Now, for anyone watching, you guys are married, but you guys aren't together right now. So where are you at? Where is Belen at? What's going on?
So I'm in California because I still have to work. I need the W-2 to kind of support the expenses on the way until we have the cash flow to actually retire both of us early from our W-2s. Like Belen said, she's in Oklahoma. She's at the out-of-state town where we invest right now. And I'm just here kind of holding down the fort at the triplex that we bought 2 years ago that we're house hacking. So I'm just finishing up some last details on this final unit. Going to move out into a trailer and then rent this one out and house hack the house hack.
Nice. You guys are all in. I love that. House hack the house hack. I love that. Okay, so let's get to know you guys a little bit better. Let's get to know the investor because that's what this podcast is about. I always talk about getting to know the investor because I think it's important for other people to see us and, be able to be motivated by that. And I don't just mean like see us as like, brown or African American or whatever, right? Or not even just speak the language, but like us as in our experiences, because that's what makes us, right? It's not the color of your skin. It's not the language you speak. It's like your experiences in life is what makes you. And I think to be successful in real estate, a lot of people, we have a lot of things in common. So on this podcast, I'm really going to be keen on getting to know the investor, like you guys, who you are. So let's dig into a little bit of that so that people can find, a correlation between them and you. I'm going to start with Belen. Belen, let's take it back to like high school. Like freshman year, braces, zits, the whole bit.
I never had braces.
You had these perfect teeth from forever?
Yeah,
wow,
and I sucked, this is really embarrassing, but I did suck my thumb for like 7 years, and my teeth are still pretty good.
Oh my gosh. All right, so freshman year, high school, give us the works. What clique were you in? Were you a mean girl, a cool girl? Were you like, what's up? Who is Belen in high school? Oh man,
freshman year, I was trying to figure myself out. I was hanging out with the cholos and the cholas, and I was like, yeah, I want to be in that group, but I really love doing my homework, and they didn't. So I actually, I know. So I actually, in Spanish class is where it all started. I sat next to these 2 girls that looked like they really knew what they were doing with their homework and their classwork. And I was like, hey, can I sit with you guys? They became my best friends. One of them is still my best friend. And I just kind of became more involved in school, and I was like, yeah, the chola life is not for me. I was still wearing them hoops though. And then I just knew that I wanted an education because of my parents' background. So my dad came to the States at the age of 16. He was here illegally for a really long time until he was able to get his citizenship, and he was able to bring my mom here, and that's when he had us kids here. We did end up living in Mexico for like 9 years of my life, but then my dad's like, no, this isn't really an opportunity for them to succeed in life. So we moved back to the States, and at age, 15 in high school, that's when I really determined myself to really pull it together, try to get good grades. I knew I wanted to go to college at that point. I wanted an education. And in my head, I just had that mentality of get an education, get a regular W-2 job, get married, have babies. That was it. That was like my life plan. Obviously that changed. But yeah, that was my goal at that point. It was just to go to college.
Nice. So an interesting story. My wife still wears the hoops. I actually think they're pretty hot. So I like the little hoops things, but that's funny about the chola life. That's interesting because I feel like a lot of Latino investors who have, immigrated parents, have that same illegal background story. You guys are going to hear Diego Corzo's podcast as well, where he puts it all out on the table. Things you've never said on podcasts before, super relatable information. And part of that is that, right? That our parents, some of our parents did come over this country illegally, which gave us personally that push to want more. They gave us everything, and then it's like our responsibility to take that next step past everything they've given us. So that's super relatable. I love that. Thanks for sharing. Let's jump over to Jovan and find out what his high school was like. I feel like he was no, I'm not going to say my guess. Go ahead, Jovan. What was high school like for you?
Say it.
I don't know. I really don't. So you're in the military, you have a lot of secrets, things like that. So tell me everything.
Everything. All right. So in high school,
I want to know.
All right, here we go. So in high school, I had my hair spiked up. I had spiky hair in high school. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, it was Let me show you. If I could probably do it right now.
Like punk rock?
Yeah, it was like a little fun.
I don't know.
I was kind of figuring myself out too. I wasn't mean or anything or popular. I was just kind of low key, small group of friends. When it comes to the military, in high school was actually when my friends decided to join, and I was kind of lingering and nah, I don't want to, and I never did. My family though, I was born here. My parents came from Mexico as well. I never went to live to Mexico like Belen did. So I've always been here in the States, and my opportunities were open for me because of what my parents taught me. And I don't think I'd be where I'm at today without my parents' guidance. It's super, super grateful for that. But like I said, after high school is kind of where it all started, because before I kind of just played games, wasted many hours of my high school time just playing games and whatnot. I wasn't a straight A student. I think I barely made it towards the end. I had D's all the time. My dad tried to used to incentivize me to get A's, but it is what it is. I know you know what that is, Felipe.
Oh, no, bro. I was a straight A student. Yeah, right, dude. My college degree should have two people's names on it, bro. My bachelor's should have two people's names on it for how much. Let's not get into that because they might be able to take that away. So let's just chill. So there's your high school. All right. So let's talk a little bit about college and how you got into the careers that you were in investing in real estate. So what did you do? And Jovan, what do you do even up until now, and what led to that through college? And kind of give us a little fun stories through there. We'll start out with Jovan.
So after high school, I moved from where I was at to Fresno, California, because I'm from Hollister, California.
Got it.
And I went to City College there for, I don't know, a year, maybe, almost 2. It took me forever, man. I was doing one class per semester. I was kind of slacking. It was taking forever. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. Changed my major 3 times.
Jesus.
And then I don't know what it was that made me want to join the military that late. I was already 20, I think. And my friends went at 18, 17. So I joined the reserves. I went in a little bit of college and then joined the reserves. And then from there, did boot camp, all that stuff. After that, my family had moved to San Jose, and I continued college while I got a job at Target as a security guard.
Yeah.
Went to college at University of Phoenix, and then I graduated with my bachelor's in business management.
Interesting.
While still in the
great.
Marines.
While still in the Marines. Awesome. So, well, thank you for your service. Definitely thank you for everything that you do. Belen, what about you?
Oh, man. Okay. So I ended up getting into UC Irvine, which is in Southern California. I was really proud of myself because, again, that was like my goal throughout high school, was like get into a good college. So I moved out of my parents at 19. And yes, I graduated high school late. It wasn't because I wasn't smart. It was because I got held back in second grade. I'm just saying. Anyways, so I'm in college, and I kind of wanted to figure out like what path to go, like career-wise. When I was in high school, I kind of wanted to be a fashion designer. I don't really have a sense of fashion, so I don't know why I even thought I could do that. And my dad always tried to push me to be a nurse or an engineer, something that paid a lot. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because you're telling me to do that. And obviously, I was trying to be a rebel, so I was like, no. And so freshman year, I'm trying to figure it out. I actually went in as a criminology major, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. Maybe I could be a cop. Maybe I could be a investigator. Maybe I could be forensics something. I was trying to like decide, and then it kind of hit me where it's like, oh, maybe I should become a probation officer because I loved working with adolescents. And so I was like, okay, now I know that this is now my new goal. Let me try to work towards that goal. So in college, I was just trying to get good grades, but it wasn't really working. And you're not the only one that cheated your way through college. I never say
I cheated my way through college.
I just assumed, I only cheated my way through my math classes because I am terrible at math. I had a really smart friend at the time, and he was like taking my math classes. I know I have to admit to that, but I did really well in my other classes.
Who's that guy? Who's
that
guy? Is he still?
He knows him, Dimitri. I know. So I actually ended up becoming an intern for a probation officer. I became pretty close to her. She actually was at my wedding, me and Jovan's wedding. So I interned for her for about a year and a half. I was working in school as a resident advisor. So I was still working with 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds. And then right before I graduated, I got a job working for a group home. So I was working with youth who had like mental health issues, suicidal ideation, things like that. And so that kind of like, that was my career path that I was going towards, right? I was like, I'm going to try to either go into being a probation officer right away or trying to be a corrections officer for the juvenile hall, which after college, I ended up becoming a corrections officer, but that's another story. But yeah, I mean, college was pretty basic, I guess. I mean, there's not a lot of interesting stuff going on because all I did was school and occasional partying.
Occasional partying. That's hilarious. All right. So you ended up, what was the last job you had before you quit and went full-time real estate?
I was a behavioral therapist working with kiddos who had autism.
Nice. Very good. Yeah. And a lot of people know that my son has SPD. It's on the autism spectrum, I think. I don't know how really that works, but it's like it's just a sensory thing. Like he's just super sensitive to like sound and like some things like that. Like when a siren goes by, he like grabs his ears and he like kind of has I don't know if it's a physical pain or not, but I know that he does like really, really bothers him. But it's interesting though, because we can have the TV loud and he'll be fine. So we're always like, we don't really know how to treat it. But anyway, so it's part of that. So that's amazing. So you quit, you're doing full-time real estate investing now. I heard Jovan say that he was in a triplex. Tell us a little bit about, from your careers, how did real estate happen? Why real estate? Like, where did that come from?
I'll go on that one. So when I was working at Target, I've been with Target for about almost 11 years now. But when I first started with Target, I moved from store to store from different cities. Mm-hmm. And the last store I moved in Northern California was in like near Santa Cruz. And I was paying rent and a studio apartment there super small, $1,500 a month. And but then that time I was like throwing my money away, didn't save anything at all. But I was like, the amount of money that I kept going out of my bank account, I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to be on the other end to collect that check? And around that time, that's when I got some orders for the Marine Corps to go active duty, like reservist. And I came to Southern California over in Barstow. I don't know if anyone knows where that's at, but there's nothing there. And while I was there, I was kind of like reading and educating myself on investing. I'm kind of like how to become a landlord and, just learning all those like little things. And I think I found Robert Kiyosaki on YouTube, and then I was like, what is this book about? And I read it, and it kind of seemed sketchy at first, like this guy's like pushing sales or whatever, but the book was really good. And from there, I just started like picking up more knowledge. And then I just pulled a trigger eventually because I knew I wanted to buy something, and I saw that the prices in Southern California, specifically in the high desert, were pretty cheap compared to where I was from in the Bay Area, where it's like $600,000 to $1 million properties plus. And I found a triplex out here, pulled a trigger on it. It was like $365,000 for 3 units, and I was like, that's pretty cool spot to start. Did that after I finished my orders with the Marines. I actually moved back to San Jose because my job was still over there. I'm kind of missing a couple of things because in there I met Belen, and I'll let Belen talk about that. But go back to San Jose. I'm like, hey, why not we just move to back to Southern California in our property for cheap, house hack it, and that's how we ended up here in the triplex.
Wow, what a story! There's a lot to uncover there. I guess before we move over to Belen, I do have a question though. What do you tell like other servicemen that are thinking about getting into real estate, but they're like, oh, I'm going to wait till I'm done, or I'm going to wait till I'm out? What does that look like, and what information would you give them in regards to real estate investing?
I would definitely say don't wait. Like I've met so many like young Marines doing just a minimum contract 4 years and don't do anything with that time. Like they either don't go to school or they don't save up their money. And that's like, that's for most of them, that's the only job they ever have. Like for me, I had the opportunity in the reserves to still continue and have a career on the side and do Marine Corps. But these guys that are like active duty, sometimes not all of them take advantage of that. And they just get out and then end up like having to struggle, or some of them, do pick up other careers. But I mean, I've seen like a mix of both. I would definitely like find out what resources you have, like VA loan. Some people don't know that your disability rating can waive like the funding fees for the VA loans, and you can get a house hack for cheap, or almost nothing. So
interesting. Belen, same question. What got you into real estate investing? And then tell us how you met Jovan.
Awesome. So me and Jovan met on Tinder. So I was working as a corrections officer at the time in San Bernardino. I was going through my court class, and I met Jovan through Tinder. He was over in Barstow. He was like an hour away from me. And we went on like our first date, blah, 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 right? I liked him. He was cute. I was like, all right. And then literally like a month in, he just threw real estate in my face, and he's like, hey, what do you think of all this? And I was like, what? I had no idea about you. Like, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know that you could make money being an entrepreneur without having like a regular business. I was like, oh, people who have businesses, they have like other businesses that has nothing to do with real estate. And so I didn't know. And he told me that he was in the process of trying to buy a triplex in the high desert. And I was like, okay, interesting. I was listening to him. I liked him. So obviously,
you're like, yeah, whatever. You're cute. I'll let you talk.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, sure. Tell me more. But I wasn't really invested into it. Like he told me about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, oh, cool. Sounds like a great book. But like, obviously I never read it. And it wasn't until...
So you just told him you did, but you never really did read it. You were just like, yeah, I read that.
I didn't read it until we were already past engaged, so almost getting married. And that's because he was like, no, you should really read it. And I was like, okay. But so he was very smart, okay? His real estate investing mind had already started working. He asked me, I lived in an apartment. He asked me if I wanted to move into one of the houses of his newly bought triplex. And in my head, I was like, why would I do that? Now I have to commute like 45 minutes to get to work. And I was like, how much are you going to charge me? He's like, oh, I would only charge you like $1,000. I'll include all utilities and internet. And I was like, okay. So I am never one. Yes. He charged me rent. Hold on. I am not one to back down after saying yes. I say yes, I commit 100%.
Let's go.
So I told him yes, and I was like, freak, now I have to commit to this. So I packed up my apartment and my cat, and I moved over to one of the houses in the triplex that he had just bought. He started charging me rent. Then he started remodeling. I had no kitchen the entire time I was there.
And he was charging you full rent?
And he was charging me full rent. And then I started helping him remodel. So I was giving him free labor. I was giving him rent. And then he would stay over the entire time I was there.
So we're not going to talk about what else Jovan got, but he got remodel, he got rent, he got the girl. Jovan, I need to know your ways.
Then he proposed like 3 months after that. So I paid rent for like 3 months. He proposed 3 months after that using my rent money. He used my rent money. Yes.
Hey, bro.
Oh, that's savage. That's savage.
She paid for her own ring.
Yes, I did. Why am I still married?
I know. No, that's a good idea.
No, yeah, he was like super smart about it, and he proposed. We got engaged, and his job was waiting in San Jose. And I was like, sure, I'll quit my job for you and move to San Jose. I moved to San Jose with him. We left the triplex. It was undone. So like one of the units was half-assed. The other unit was half done. And then the third unit was never started. So we kind of left things like that and moved. But all 3 units were still being rented out because of his friends. They were super nice and were accepting the fact that the triplex was unfinished. And then once we were out there, that's when we started to invest out of state. And then throughout that year, we were only in San Jose for like a year. Throughout that year, we were like, you know what, let's move back. And that's when Belen the Builder started.
Yeah, I think that's a great story because, there's a lot of jokes and a lot of funnies in there. But, a lot of people don't even get started for the fear of fill in the blank. And you guys made it work. Now, I don't know that I would have used your rent money to buy you a ring, but I still think that's epic. And you guys got started, and that's what counts. See, these are the stories that I'm super interested in hearing because a lot of times you just hear this like cookie cutter, clean, perfect story of like how I got started investing in real estate and my daddy gave me $100,000 and yada, yada, yada. Right? Like Jovan had a vision of what he had to do and what he wanted to do, but he also probably wanted you close. So yeah, he rented to you and that's all funny. But what I see in the back of my head, I'm like, this guy had a dream and a vision and he wanted the girl as well. And he just had to fix and mesh both worlds together to make it work out. Right? Like that's all I see. I just see a go-getter mentality and like trying to get it done. So that's really exciting to hear as well. I want to know a little bit more about how it was living in that situation where the house wasn't ready and how that worked out and like how you guys fixed that and then to where you're at now. And I can't wait to get to the story of like what you guys are doing now. I'm super excited to talk about that, but tell us a little bit more about how it was living in a place that was unfinished. And I'll let Jovan go first and then Belen can answer after.
God, first of all, thank God.
My turn.
Yeah. No, it was rough. It was super stressful because I knew I had to go back to San Jose to my job. In my mind, I wasn't thinking about transferring over here yet. I should have, because leaving it undone, like all of my money ended up coming back over here anyways. We had a vacant unit for so long. Just holding all that, it brought a lot of attention sometimes. Belen and I would sometimes like get stressed about it and maybe like bicker over it. But in the end, we thought, we discussed it, and it was best that we come back here, not only just to finish it ourselves, but also to house hack and save money.
Yeah. What about you, Belen?
Well, when I was first there and they started to demo the kitchen in the unit that I was in, I grew up very poor. There was a long time of us living in one room, and it was 5 of us. Then there was another time where we had an apartment, but it was empty. There was no furniture. So I'm used to kind of like living like that, I guess. It sounds really sad, but I had fun. Like I saw it as an adventure every time we moved into a new place. And I moved a lot when I was younger. I've lived in like 8 different cities in 2 different countries. Maybe more cities now because now I'm older, but for me, it was just an adventure. Like I didn't mind it. It wasn't anything that affected me personally. And it's never been something that Jovan and I have ever argued about, because I knew that I can just pick up and go wherever I want. And I think that's why it was so easy for me to move to Oklahoma, is because I'm used to just moving around. So I didn't mind the half done house. It was kind of fun. And then before we moved to San Jose, I quit my job 3 months before, and he was on like a leave for 3 months. So it was just the three of us, well, yeah, our cat and our dog. It was me and Jovan, and we were working on the rehab, and we had no other responsibilities, and we were just like enjoying our time. And I think that's when Jovan really started to realize, like, this is what I want to do. And for me, that's when it started to really click. Like, there's a different life that you can have instead of just working a W-2 job, working crazy hours. Because I was getting mandated like 3 times a week to work overtime. So I didn't get to sleep much throughout the week. I didn't get to see Jovan much because he had a different work schedule. So this was like heaven for us. Like, we had 3 months of freedom, even though we were working on the rehab. It was unfortunate that we had to move to San Jose for him to continue his job, and I ended up getting a different job out there. But that was like a little taste of what being a true real estate investor could be. And for me, it was kind of fun. So I was like, yeah, let's do this.
That's hilarious. So, okay. So now you guys have you went through high school, college, you dated, you lived through a crazy house hack together where Jovan house hacked your ring. And then now you guys are married, you guys are investing, and you are now out of state, and Jovan is still in California, basically like funding the projects that is going on with holding down the W-2 job for it, because without that, we all know refinances are really hard, etc. So tell us about what you have going on right now, how you got funding, your partners. Give us the nuts and bolts of the deal. This is where I get to kick back and let you guys go back and forth, and tell me about a deal that you're working on now that you guys are like, super proud of, because I know a little bit of it, so I'm excited.
So I'll let Jovan talk about the commercial line of credit because he's the one that got that one, and I'll talk about the second project.
Done.
All right. So we funded our properties in various ways. I've never actually used the VA loan other than refinancing the triplex. I did it backwards. I should have did it the other way around. But where Belen's at right now, she's in Oklahoma in a single family home that we purchased with a commercial line of credit. It was a 1-year line of credit that we got with a small local bank. They funded the purchase price and the rehab cost, and it's all subject to its own appraisal, like its own after repair value. So she's there right now, kind of working on it while we wait for a property we have under contract. It's going to be our first flip that we're doing, and it's pretty heavy. And our lenders were a little skeptical. Felipe and Diego are lending us on that one, and we're super grateful you guys are giving us that opportunity. And trust me, we do not want to let anyone down.
Absolutely. So yeah, while we're waiting, we're currently under contract for this. It'll be our first flip. So we're hoping to rehab it and sell it within 3 months, I'm hoping. And my dad decided to also quit his job and move out here with me. And so him, Jovan, and I have partnered up, and we are in the process of opening up a maintenance and remodel company with my dad, because he has all the knowledge. I've only have 2 years worth of knowledge that I've been doing this rehab work, and he has like 50, well, maybe not 50, he's like 57. He has like 40 years of knowledge. So he's been working on this his entire life. And so him and I are pretty confident. We've got this house. It was burnt in the kitchen area, but it's literally just internal damage. Like, the outside still looks beautiful. Obviously there's like some smoke damage, but that could be clean. The neighborhood in this particular property is one of the best. And I drove through it and I'm like, wow, this is like a high-end neighborhood. Like, we can definitely get a great return on this property once we flip it. So I'm feeling really confident, but it is our first flip. It's a short timeline. I know we're going to have to hire out some stuff in order to finish on time. And so that one is going to be our priority once we close on that one, which we're closing on the 17th. Fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong. And then we're going to be going from the property where we're at right now, which is the rental. We're going to be fixing that one. And then once we finish that one, we'll move back into the rental to finish the rental because we've got more time to finish this one. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. All of the emotions.
So you have one that you're working on right now. What's the timeline for that? What's that one look like? You're gonna get rid of it soon? Where are you at?
So like I said, this one isn't the priority. The priority is to flip. We do have a year with this commercial line of credit. Obviously,
Okay.
we don't want to hold it for a year, so we want to do it as soon as possible. My goal is to move back to California by June. So I'm hoping that we finish what I'm calling the smokehouse, which would be the flip, and then this one, the rental, everything by June, and then trying to get another flip over in California just because the numbers there are a lot higher. Like you can get more on your returns. But yeah, I'm hoping that by June that we're all done with both of these and we can move on to the next project.
Because of the more on the return, or because you want to come back home to me?
Hey.
Yeah, because I miss my 3 cats.
Oh,
and
wow.
my husband.
And this is why you pay for your ring.
This is why you guys are the best. Belen, where did you learn how to, because I see your Instagram and you do a lot of this stuff yourself. So give us a story. I mean, we'll jump into the numbers, how you found the deal, the flips, the ARV, all that for the smokehouse. But let's talk a little bit about how you learned to do what you do, because you're on Instagram and you have some great content. I still think you need to have a YouTube channel. You'll eventually listen to me. But seriously though, like, where did you learn how to do everything that you do?
Thank you. So before I get into that, I do want to point out, like I said earlier, so Belen the Builder was born in San Jose when we were still out there and thinking about moving back to the high desert in Southern California. And we were like, well, Jovan mentioned it. He's like, hey, you should have an Instagram and work on the rehabs and you could do it full time. And so we were thinking that I was going to move back to Southern California and do rehab full time. I am a social butterfly, so I couldn't not work at the time. Like I really needed to have a job and I'm just so used to working. And we needed the money at the time. And that's why I ended up getting another job. But yeah, Jovan was like, Belen the Builder, because, you know, Bob the Builder. So it's kind of like play on word. I don't know. I thought it was funny, but I was like, okay, sure. Right. So then Belen the Builder was born on Instagram and I just kind of picked up the drill and started doing stuff. I had never done things like that. Like, even though my dad has a lot of experience and he's always worked as a handyman, maintenance person, I'm a woman in the Mexican culture. I am not allowed to do any of that in the Mexican culture. Of course, my parents are more modern, so they don't really care. Like, they're very proud of me right now. But it's not very like common for females in the Mexican culture to be doing things like this. So I was never taught like by my dad, and it wasn't until we started doing it where I just jumped in, started learning from YouTube. Jovan had some experience. He taught me what he knew, at least like how to like use the tools and stuff. At the time, we had a friend helping us in the triplex. He is a general contractor in Washington, and so he was showing us also how to use tools, what to do, and things like that. And honestly, it was just me learning from other people, from other Instagram pages. I was like I still am a huge fan of Investor Girl Brit, and as well as other ones that are out there, just because like the women doing the hard parts of a house, like I thought that was so empowering. And I was like, okay, you know, I think I can do this, and I think I'm a strong person. So I was like, you know, let me try to lift these things. And obviously I always need help, but still like, it just kind of went from there. But yeah, it all started about almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and now you're crushing it on social media. I love seeing the videos, and I go back and forth from Investor Girl Brit with you, but I personally like watching your videos because they're raw, they're not like super edited, and like we can see like exactly what you're doing. So I really, really like those. Jovan, what does it look like on your end, bro, to like be the one working, funding the deals, and like watching your wife out there like grinding and like just crushing it and doing it. Like that must make you feel like super proud. But like what goes through your head as your wife's like crushing these deals? I'm assuming that you soon want to join as well.
Definitely. Like Belen said, when we first started, it was a way for us to kind of like spend time and money for us to like kind of separate that. I would come home, help her out all the time, try to knock out the units with her. But now that she's further away and I'm like, okay, I got to stay, like I cannot leave yet. I mean, it kind of makes me feel bad because like I want to be there. I don't want my wife to just be like slaving away for like us, you know? And always people always tell me, it's like, man, your wife's doing so good. She's like, all you did was hold like the lamp up. I'm like, because she doesn't record me doing it. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, she's doing so much stuff. Like, what do you even do? I'm like, I guess I just work.
My work's not valuable.
I know it all plays a part, and it's funny because every time like Belen like gets a new follower or whatever, she's like, look it, I'm like for something, I'm at 500, and every time I kept going up, she was super proud. I'm like, yeah, remember when you were like, I don't want to do that. Every time she gets a new follower, I just tell her I told you so.
I love it. So you get to say that forever, Jovan. You get to always say if it wasn't. Bro, I have the same story. So, like, interestingly enough, my wife is the one who DM'd Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets on my birthday. And, like, that's how everything happened. So, like, my wife always gets to hold that over my head in a joking way. But she's always like, yeah, so how did it start? Oh, that's right. I slid in Brandon's DMs. And it's really funny. So, no, that's super cool. Okay, so Belen, you're out of state. Let's talk about the smokehouse a little bit because I know people do like to hear about the real estate. But like I said, it was my goal for people to like find, our listeners to like find some type of correlation in you guys. Like this, like, oh my gosh, like me and my husband did that, or me and my wife did that, or I was a chola as well. And then, growing up, I grew into this like, fill in the blank what they do now. So like I totally get that part. In regards to the smokehouse. So how did you find the deal? Let's talk about that.
So Jovan actually found it. So I'll let him talk about finding the deal because
cool.
That's his role in our partnership.
Cool. Jovan, how'd you find the deal, bro?
So I just found it off the MLS, honestly. I haven't done any off-market deals yet. That's what we want to start doing now with like PropStream and start focusing on that to get better deals. But with the realtor out there in Oklahoma, freaking rock star, Russ, anytime I see something, I send it to him right away, and we usually move on things quick because like stuff like just flies out there. This one happened to come on the MLS. It was like a fire damage property. I think they're asking $78K for it. ARVs are like upwards of like 180 or something like that. So when I saw that, I sent it to him. I'm like, hey, can we do a cash offer on this one? I mean, I know at this point you don't necessarily have to have the cash anymore. You just have to find a good deal. So if I can just get this thing under contract, I'm going to go find money for it because I've already done a decent amount of properties to at least know that like you don't always have to have the cash on hand. And I learned that especially from Rat Race. We talk about stuff like that all the time. Like Diego and Felipe, I hit them with questions if I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And that's kind of like how I got that deal. I felt more confident doing that with the fire damage property, not having the cash on hand because of that.
Yeah, I love that because I think a lot of people are scared to like not have the money for the deals, right? Like they're like, oh, I can find deals, but I'm not going to have the money. But we all know that if a deal is good enough, hard money, loaned money, private money, like money is going to be available if there's meat on the bone. Because that's the hard part. People don't realize that the hard part is actually finding the deal, not funding the deal. So, okay, so you find it on the MLS. You have a great rock star realtor. That's perfect. What about funding? Let's talk about funding the deal.
So, sure. So we were talking to you, Felipe, about it, and I was jokingly saying that you were going to fund this. And you're like, oh, I don't know. We'll have to talk about it. And so we're like, oh, I'm just kidding. But like low-key, I wasn't really kidding. So then I was like, oh, maybe we can find like a hard money lender.
Low-key wasn't kidding. Wait. Let's go back a second. How did we meet? How do you guys know me again? Has this been the forever? Let's go back to that before we go to funding.
Jovan might say that it was because of him, but it was all because of me. So one chilling evening, one chilling evening, Jovan comes to me and he's like, hey, do you want to go to Tennessee? And I was like, heck yeah. I love country music. I've been wanting to go to Tennessee. My best friend lives out in Tennessee, in Clarksville. Shout out to Natalie. And so I was like, let's do it. And then we planned our trip. We said we were going a certain week, and we had been listening to the Rookie podcast from Bigger Pockets, and Felipe was a huge, we were a huge fan of Felipe. So we were like, hey, Felipe lives in Nashville. So we had heard this podcast where he picked up this person from the airport who had been going there on vacation or something. I can't remember the full story. So I was like, hey, me and Jovan were talking. We were like, hey, maybe he will like maybe meet with us. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And he kept telling me like, DM him. I was like, maybe I'll get, when it gets closer to the time, or when we're already there, like I'll DM him. I didn't want to be a creep, right? Even though I'm like a huge fan. And so I saw that you, Felipe, had posted something about making a rat race meetup or or a meetup. And I was like, hey, you should do it on this day because I'm actually flying out there from California. And I don't know if you remember, but you did it on that day. And I was like, all right, Jovan, we are going to go to this meetup. We're going to meet Felipe. So we met you. We met a bunch of other people that have been a huge part of us now since October. And I think that our real estate investing career did not take off until that particular moment, because we met you, we met Rat Race, we became a part of Rat Race. We met so many other investors that we are always reaching out to through Instagram because they're all from over there. We now have a CPA because of you. Like we did not expect our career to kind of have this huge jump from where we were at in the middle of 2020 to towards the end of 2020. Because a lot of our properties were acquired at the end of 2020. And this was after we had joined Rat Race and we had more confidence and we had a group where we could go to and be like, hey, I'm having this issue. What have you done in order to overcome this? And so that's how we met Felipe. That's how our career kind of took off as investors. And so honestly, like I know I give you a lot of credit, but it's because you deserve all the credit, Felipe. So I really appreciate everything.
No, it's not. I always say that it's not me. It's the power of networking within Rat Race. Like I just create the opportunity for people to network. I can't force you to network, but I do love creating the atmosphere, the networking, like the areas where people can network. Like I've heard that story so many times. And I'm always like, no. It's literally got nothing to do with me. It's all about your networking ability within Rat Race. And we have people in Rat Race. And it's interesting because the most successful people in Rat Race, our mastermind, are the people that network with other individuals and try to add value to them. So I'm super excited that you guys are there. I think you guys' real estate career is starting out with a bang, and I can only see you guys growing from there. So let's talk about funding. Give us the numbers for funding this smokehouse deal. How is it getting funded? What are the terms on it and how that looks?
You want to take it over, Jovan?
No, you got this.
Okay. So this particular property was on sale for $75K. We were like, okay, we want to beat all the other people trying to get this property. So we offered $77,500. And we knew that it had some damage. We were like, okay, maybe we can talk our way down after we do an inspection. So we sent in the offer, $77,500. In the meantime, we were trying to get some hard money. So we reached out to a hard money lender in California. He couldn't do the deal because it had to be a property worth $150,000 or more. We were like, well, we're not there. We reached out to another hard money lender, and he couldn't do it because we needed what was it, Jovan? We needed to pay for the down payment. And we're like, oh, well, we can't do that either because right now most of our money is tied into rehabbing. We had another property at the time that we were rehabbing. And so then we reached out to Felipe and Diego, and Felipe was like, okay, let's do this. Then Felipe reached out to Diego, and then both of them decided to partner up with us. And Rat Race is actually lending us $100,000. And we actually were able to get the purchase price down to $70,000. So we saved ourselves some cash there. So we'll be paying for the smokehouse using this hard money loan from Felipe and Diego. It's going to be $70,000 for the purchase price, and then obviously closing costs and all that good stuff. And then the rest will be going into rehab. So it's going to be a pretty nice, tight budget. And with Felipe and Diego's terms, we're doing a 3.5 Felipe, correct me if I'm saying all this wrong. 3 points up front, and then interest will be once we sell the house, we'll pay interest as well as what they loaned us. So yeah,
that's right. Yep, that sounds perfect. So give us the ARV. What's the ARV of the property? What are you going to sell it for?
we're looking at the comps around there are around 180, 185. But I honestly, the neighborhood is beautiful. The house is big enough. We're adding 2 more rooms to this house, converting one of the bathrooms into a bigger bathroom with an actual shower, because right now it's just the toilet. So I think we can honestly get it for more, but the ARV is 180, 185.
Nice. I like that. So it looks like you're going to have plenty of money to play with. What do you think it's going to cost to rehab it?
Whatever the tight budget is.
30 grand?
No, 30 grand. No, because my dad and myself are going to be doing a lot of the work, we were able to shave off the labor cost because we're not going to pay ourselves until after we sell the property. Whatever we do hire out is going to be the stuff that eats up most of our profits or most of our budget. But materials wise, I try to find deals. Jovan uses card cookie. We use give an assistant. We use military discount. Like, we try our best to get the good stuff on a lower end price. And I'm always like looking at Lowe's and other local stores of like, okay, what are the best deals? What are the best prices? I know that Lowe's has high prices on like cement and mortar. I'm going to go to this other like local store. So we're trying our best to minimize our costs when it comes to materials, and just leaving enough room for us to hire out whatever we need to hire out.
Nice. Jovan, what is the goal for the property once you guys are wrapped up? Like, what are you going to do with it once you sell it? Like, what's next? And then, what's your timeline look like? When do you want to be done with this one?
So this one, I think we want to be max in that flip 5 months, because that's like what we committed to. But I mean, the sooner the better, because we got to go into our rental and be done with that. With that cash, we are carrying debt for a lot of these rehabs, and I want to consolidate a little bit, but I don't want to liquidate all the cash because I still want to continue purchasing. I want to see, like, if this flip is successful and we can repeat that, like, prove it, like, I might even consider just going full time with it to be with my wife 100% and like not having to watch my wife slave away. Like, I want to be there in the like nitty gritty with her. So with that cash that we'll get from the flip, if like we can repeat that process here in California, like I want to use some of that cash reserves to kind of hold out like for some of our basic bills. I mean, we're going to be house hacking the house hack with living in a trailer. We already have all the electrical installed, like minimum expenses, like, going forward with that cash is just to hold us over, and then kind of like focus on like construction and like doing more flips, and then like more rentals as well. Just want to continue that.
So just keep like growing the portfolio, keep flipping, picking up some rentals along the way. Man, that's a great goal. And that's a great story of how you guys like met, how you guys are like doing these deals together. I'm super excited to like see where you guys are going and growing. And I'm lucky just to be a part of it. Like, you guys are like, oh, you lend us the money, and like we're super happy about that. But like a lot of people don't realize, like, that's not even the cool part. Like, to me, it's being part of this journey and, Lord willing, funding more deals with you guys going forward as you guys are like flipping these properties, right? I lend you 100,000, you make $50,000 on the flip, and then everyone eats, and we just keep doing that process. And then it's great, right? Now you don't have the worry of money. Now you're more worried about just finding deals, which is like the perfect scenario for any real estate investor. So let me ask both of you guys this, and we'll go to Belen, and then we'll come back to Jovan. Belen, if there's a little boy or girl that's listening to this podcast or watches you on YouTube, because these will be uploaded to YouTube, but is like, man, I really want to be in Belen's spot, like a happy marriage where I can joke with my husband, but I'm out here grinding, doing my real estate life. Like, what are some of the tips and tricks that you would give him or her as they want to do what you're doing? Because you got to remember, there's people that like would love and kill to be in the position that I'm in, that you guys are in. You're living the dream that you probably had a year ago now, right? And then you still have more dreams now. So what would you tell someone?
I think for me, so what I love and hate about social media is that things are very cookie cutter. They're very nice. They're very like, oh, these people are doing so great. I would tell the person who's looking up to me and saying, hey, you're doing great, this and that. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. Me and Jovan, yes, we're a great partnership, but you can ask him. There's been many, many times where we've argued, I've cried, I've like yelled at him, he's yelled at me, and we've never, I don't want to say never, but not all the time it's been where we're on the same page. We have to work our way to the same page. We have to flip the pages together to get there, because he might have a different opinion on something that I have a different opinion on. So just expect that things will go wrong. Expect that it's not going to be perfect, that every couple is going to have issues, especially when your partner is your spouse. You're going to be on different pages at times, and it's okay as long as you're able to work through it and talk about it and figure out what you need to do in order to reach that particular common goal that you have. Another thing that I might say for people who are looking at this or listening to this podcast and are scared of even jumping into doing anything that I'm doing with Jovan, I would say just jump in. Just have a positive mind, just jump in. I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. And I just have to figure my way through it.
Don't say that when you finna take $100,000 out my pocket. You better tell me you are super confident in what you're doing.
No, I honestly,
I appreciate the honesty. Yeah, I know.
Of course. I got to figure out what I'm doing half the time, and I'm always doing research. I'm always on Google. I'm always on YouTube. I'm always on other people's Instagram. I'm always reaching out to other people, asking them, how did you do this? I find different and better ways of doing things, and I'm like, hey, I want to try that. That seems like it's a lot easier. My dad right now, he's been kind of guiding me to do some things, but he has an old school way of doing things where it's like, Dad, that's going to take way too long. The other day, he was mixing mud with a shovel and a wheelbarrow. I'm like, Dad, we're never going to finish by the time that you're done. Like, I'm introducing the new ways to him, and he's introducing the old school ways, but we're both teaching each other. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just be open to learning, be open to asking questions, have a positive mind, a positive attitude, and just expect bad things to go wrong, like a lot of things to go wrong, and for things to be hard. Like, don't expect it to be easy, because it has not been an easy journey. I think I've shed more tears and more sweat and more blood in the last 2 years than my entire lifetime, because sometimes I get hurt in the job. I've fallen, I've cut myself, I've drilled my pinky the other day. My hand was like this, and I was like, and it went into my pinky, and it just was not healing. Anyway, things are not how they seem, and you just have to be open to that.
I love that answer. Jovan, same question, bro. There's a little Hispanic kid out there that's like, dang, like he's got a beautiful wife. He's got the doors. He's got the job, the real estate. They're happy. I want that. Like, what does that look like for him? What advice would you give to that kid that's, probably you when, 15, 16-year-old listening to this?
Man, if I would have been able to see myself back then, I would have told myself, first of all, stop spending your money and wasting it on stupid stuff. Invest your time in yourself more. I get there's always time to have fun and stuff, but it shouldn't be every moment of your life to have fun. There's got to be some times where you got to like invest in yourself to learn, not that stuff in school, not learn how to do like 1 + 1 and all that like math that you don't even use because the calculator can do it for you now, but like to invest into actual things that are going to matter that you can use. I would say when it comes to like partnerships, like looking for that wife, I knew with Belen, I think that's a lot of people like questions like, why are you guys getting married so fast? It's like, is she pregnant? Is she pregnant? I was like, no, like
why does it got to jump to that, right?
Yeah, I know. It was like, she's actually
because I'm Mexican.
That's what it was.
Right? Yeah, that's what it is. No, it's because like we clicked really well. Like she understood my goals. I was kind of like throwing her around all over the place with like, to San Jose, I'm doing this investing, and like she was open to all of it. And that was really cool because I knew that I wanted to do this. I didn't know how to get there, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I've always heard people always say that like if it was easy, everyone would do it. And I understand why, because it can be stressful, especially when you're newly married and you guys are trying to figure out together. Oh man. But we did, and because of that, like I would do it again. And I'm so grateful for Belen, like looking for that person that is willing to do that and go through that with you. I'm like, that's that's so much more helpful and easier to do it with, because if you didn't have that person go to do that with you, there's no, I mean, you can do it by yourself and struggle, which is fine, but you're going to have to find someone eventually, learn from somebody. But struggling with Belen the whole time, that made it a lot easier.
No, that's powerful. Véala, romántico el nene. Ay, que su madre. Ya la tiene chiviada. Mírala, mírala. Está toda roja.
I'm turning red.
I know. No, that's really cool. And that's very true. Like, I think a lot of people, you know, don't focus so much on themselves. They focus on like exterior stuff, and then like they never grow personally. So I think that's really cool what you guys are doing. I'm super proud of you guys. I've seen you guys' journey slowly growing, and I can't wait to see where you're going to be at in the next couple of years. Like, I can definitely see you guys crushing the game, just flipping the mess out of some houses, starting a portfolio, and all that fun jazz. So that's perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Seriously, I loved the stories. I loved getting to know you guys even a little bit more. Real quick, where can everyone find you? Belen, let's start with you. Social media, Jovan, then you as well. Where can people connect and find you guys?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having us, Felipe. This is a lot of fun. I can talk forever. And secondly, yes, so Belen _the _builder. It's a play on word with Bob the Builder. I'm just putting that out there, guys. It's supposed to be funny. Y'all can find me on Instagram.
Awesome. Jovan, what about you?
Same thing. I had to change my Instagram name to make it more appropriate, but it was Sweaty N Ready 4-5, like the number 4-5.
I love that. Sweaty and ready for Fi. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on Rat Race to Fi podcast. Seriously, it means a lot that you guys are on here. I can't wait to get you on again on the back end. Once you've got some flips done, and we'll retouch the numbers and maybe closer to the end of this year. So I'm super excited to get back to that. Thank you for your time, guys. Any last words before we jump out of here?
Thank you so much for having us, Felipe. Yeah. Once we come back, maybe we'll have some good news on the smokehouse, how it went and stuff.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
The Rat Race to Fi podcast, where we discuss money, mindset, real estate investing, and ways to achieve financial independence. Whether you are a rookie or a veteran needing new ideas for investing or creating side hustles, you're in the right place.